Hello, everyone, and welcome back to It's Time to Toss the Dice. We were going to be discussing the season finale of Season 2 of The Wheel of Time. As always, I'm Will,
I'm Lindsay.
and we'll get right into it.
Uh, Yay. We're gonna go chronological in this one. I think everybody's in Falm basically, so there's no reason not to go chronologically. Um, Probably goes without saying, but we're gonna say it anyways. This is gonna have a great deal of book spoilers that we're gonna
Yes,
talk about.
a lot of
There's a
spoilers.
lot of stuff that this episode is setting up for payoffs later, at least in the book series. So we're gonna be talking about those. So if you are not interested in hearing that, probably should not watch this.
And at the same time, do not think that Amazon is going to come through with any payoffs for anything that happens in the book. So don't hold your breath.
Mr. Pessimist over there.
Mr.
so we
Mr. Realist.
yes. We get a cold open with Shemael being bound in his seal
Hmm.
by Luz Theron. It didn't really do anything for me. I didn't hate it, but it didn't really do anything for me.
It existed, and
Basically, yeah. We get a scene after that with they brought back the full with the loom and the threads and the Aes Sedai
yep.
thing
I quickly skipped over it, but
intro.
yep.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't skip it because I was kind of like I wanted to see if they changed it from last season, is why I didn't skip it. But it's the first time we've seen it this season, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
Probably
Um,
because it's the season finale.
Probably. So we get a scene with the White Cloaks outside of Falm. We learn that Dane Bornhold and Jeffrey Bornhold are, in fact, actually related to each other. Um,
We found that out in an earlier episode.
yeah, but they didn't actually make it like blatantly obvious that they were both Bornholds
I'm pretty
and
sure they
their
were. The episode
relationship.
where Alvienda was in a cage, they said something
Oh,
about
whatever.
about
Apparently, I
it's
wasn't paying
because of your
attention.
father or something. I don't remember exactly what it said, but they
Yeah.
made reference to his father also being a White Cloak.
Oh, okay. Um. Apparently, they have something that the Shanshan don't have. I assume it's the trebuchets that they use later on. Don't know how that's going to make a difference against
Magic.
Demane magic, but whatever.
Yeah, they
Um.
they can throw rocks too. They can just do it a lot cooler.
Yes. We get Lanfear, Rand, Lan, and Moraine in the ways. I do actually like that they added and they didn't do this before in season one when we were in the ways, but they added sort of like a I don't like that they added the lightning flickering effect, but I did like that it kind of let you see the weird staircases and stuff, how the ways is put together because it is really weird.
We got a little bit of that in season one.
Yeah.
They had kind of a pan back, and you could see how corrupted and destroyed the ways were.
Yep. But this one I like cuz you can see how the stairways kind of fold over each other and the platforms are on top of each other and stuff, which is described in the books. And it's very unsettling for the Emmons Field folks.
I'm still waiting for anybody to give me a solid reason as to why Moraine would not have tried to kill Lanfear every second of their time together in the ways.
That's a really good question. Unless, well, okay, so there is actually
And
an answer for that.
and Lan, honestly.
There is actually an answer for that. I mean, they would have to do it right outside of the gate in Kyrian because Lanfear is the only one of them who knows how to go through the ways. Moraine doesn't know how to get through.
Do you really think she would care? With a Forsaken in front of her, do you really think Moraine would be like, oh, no, we'll just chill with her for a little bit?
No, no, you're right. She
A
wouldn't. She'd just
thousand
try to kill
percent.
her.
She would fucking balefire her right there, or try to balefire her right there in the ways.
Yep.
If
No,
she
she
beat
does
Lan
make the
to it.
comment
Like,
that
I'm,
that
I'm pretty sure Lan would fight Moraine to kill Lanfear. Like, him being from
probably.
Malkier and having devoted his entire life to defeating the Shadow and having one of the
Yeah,
Forsaken right there.
there is that. I don't know. But yeah, you're probably right. So Lanfear channels pushes them out in a waygate that's close-ish to Falm, but not like in Falm. And then Machin Shin comes down on them and she just poofs her and Rand like out of existence. Um, I was not aware that portals worked. She didn't even make
That
a way,
wasn't even a
like
portal. Yeah, it wasn't a
she didn't
way
even
gate.
make a
Or
portal. She
not
just
a
poofed
gateway,
them.
sorry.
And I'm not entirely sure because the ways exists outside of the real world. I'm not sure that you can actually even gateway between the ways and
They, in a way, they exist outside the world, but they also don't. Like, they're part of the world.
right. But the question is can you make a gateway into the ways?
I'm trying to think back, and I'm fairly confident that in the books you can't channel in the ways, period. Like, it's
No, you
essentially,
can.
it
It's
follows
just
the
not a good
same.
idea.
I don't think you can. I think it follows the same rules as an ogre setting because it's the Ogier that built him.
Oh.
I don't think you can channel in the ways. I'm pretty sure when we were talking about season one, I brought that up that it doesn't make any sense that that's how you open a way gate is by channeling since you can't channel inside the ways.
I don't remember. I'm
I'm
not sure. You might be right
I'm
though.
I'm not 100% on that, but I'm fairly confident that in the books it clearly states you cannot channel inside the ways because I believe at one point they had to get like no, that was in Farmatting, but they had like a well or something where you could like essentially store Satan or Sadar into so that they could use it inside Farmatting.
Yeah.
But as far as the ways, I do not think you can channel in the ways.
Hmm.
Again,
Formatting special though.
right. That's a Terangirl thing. But I'm
I'm not
saying
sure. I would have to look that up. I'm not
I'm
sure.
fairly confident. I'm not 100%, but I'm fairly confident that in the books it clearly states you cannot channel inside the ways. Like that's why
Hmm.
there's the leaf key to open up each door as opposed to
Right. As opposed to channeling.
this bullshit.
Um.
Yeah.
Yep. So then we get a scene with Perrin and Bane, Chiad, and Avienda, which is fine. I kind of like the Avienda's comment, like a lot of people are gonna die today. I don't like that Perrin turned around and told Hopper, "Don't come into the city," because in the books it's completely backward. It's the other way around. The wolves just don't go because they're wolves.
Yeah,
They wouldn't
wolves don't
walk
go
into
into
a
cities.
city.
Right.
Like
Two wolves walked into a bar.
yeah, I don't like Perrin telling Hopper it's not safe. Like Hopper wouldn't um
He wouldn't care about
know.
safe. Like they're just not going to go into a city because there's too many people and wolves
Right,
just
because they
don't.
just don't. It's just not something they would do.
Right.
So
He's not a
we get a
dog. He's a
scene.
wolf.
We get a scene with Ishi and Lanfear, and I do have to say, in this entire season, I think the Forsaken scenes, the ones with Ishamael and Lanfear, are my favorite scenes in the entire season. They're just their interaction with each other is great, and it's some of the best written interactions I think as far as the scripting is concerned.
I would like to bring up that he has 6 seals in the room where they're talking.
Yeah.
If you go
Well,
back
we
to
already know they've cut it to 8 Forsaken.
if you go back to season 1, like the last episode when they're at the eye of the world, what his seal is the entirety of the floor.
Yeah, I know.
Like all the seals are the same. Like he doesn't get a special one because he's a Shamael. Like the
Right?
seals
No, he
for all
doesn't.
of them are the fucking same. So
Well,
how can we go from saying that something that is the size of the
of a
floor of
floor,
a room and you're gonna put 6 of them in a room and they're not even gonna reach the ceiling?
right? Not only that, like I just don't like what
Like
they've done with the seals because
there's
those
no
seals are huge,
they are and
and in the books,
in
the
the later
seals are like
books
this
size of a
big,
size of a
probably.
dinner plate.
Yeah,
Like
or like a salad plate
like
somewhere in there
Rand carries them around in a
in
satchel
his pocket.
hanging from his waist.
Right. So they're not that big.
They're not.
So that kind of bugs me. I wish they were smaller and more portable. But I still do love the scenes with Ishamael and Lanfear. I think they're great.
And going back to the seals, like that's just it's something it's such a stupid change that doesn't make any sense. Like it would have taken 10 seconds of reading to find out what these seals look like and what they are.
I know.
Like
Um,
we can make something this big. If you can make that fucking obnoxious monstrosity that you made, you could do it this size.
I know. That actually comes into something that I think is the thing that bugs me the most about the TV show, and it's not even that they've changed stuff. Or I can get around that. Is that they've changed the rules of the world, and then they break their own rules.
They've changed the rules of the world. I know you and I have had this discussion many times.
I
Like
know, and
it
it
it it
bothers me
it
so
pissed me off
much.
on the opening narration, season 1, episode 1. Like I was already like, nope,
I know,
nope, nope.
I know, and it's just the fact that they. And it's not even so much just that they broke the rules. I'm okay if you break the rules and then stick to the change.
It
Make it
dep-
a new rule.
it
But they can't even do
depends.
that.
It depends on what rule you're breaking. If
Well,
I'm gonna be
obviously,
okay with it. I mean, some of the rules that they've broken, like
don't make
no,
any
no, no, no.
sense.
Like that. This is the basis. Like you are breaking down the basics of what makes this world unique and special.
Right. And what provides because the channeling in the books, it's a hard magic system. It has rules and guidelines and those cannot be broken and they have to be followed by everybody. And yes, the Forsaken have what seems to be very strong, special, unique powers, but that's because they lived in an age that was completely different than the one that they're in right now. Um, they still don't break the rules, and the show has changed the rules, and then changed the rules that they changed. So they that's what bugs me more than anything. So
See, and I'm gonna go back to the seals again. Like it bugs me, and this is going a little bit out of chronological. We find
that's
out
fine.
at the very end that Ishamael broke the last 6 seals to release the last 6
Yes,
Forsaken. That's not how it works. Like
right,
you can't just break them. Like they are made out of Quindalar. Like it's
right.
unbreakable. Like they
It's
they
an
are
unbreakable substance.
right.
Now, granted, after 3,000 years, obviously it's not as strong as it used to be, which is why
like
they
and
in the
it's
books they are breaking, but
right.
it's not
They're
like
breaking because it's time for them to break, not because
right,
Ishamael has decided it's time for them to break, but it's because Tarmon is coming, the Forsaken are going to
right.
be loose, the
And it
Dragon
could be
Reborn has to
argued that
fight them, so
the
on and so forth.
corruption coming from behind the seals from the dark one does weaken them. That could be argued. Um, but again, the 13 seals in the books seal the Forsaken and the Dark One. So what happens when you break all 6 seals to free Forsaken, or 8 seals to free the Forsaken? What's the Dark One now bound by?
Nothing.
Nothing.
But again, like this is just another rule that Amazon has
They've
broken.
broken.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the seals don't hold in the Dark One, and God knows what holds in the Dark One, but it's not
Who
the seals,
knows?
they only hold in the Forsaken. So
Yep.
it,
Who knows?
I don't know, maybe there's a Master Seal somewhere.
One ring to
Fucking,
rule them all.
like, I don't know. The one seal. Who knows? I don't know. The seal of power.
I do love how Lanfear just so bluntly was like, I told Rand I'm going to kill you.
Mhm.
Okay. So what's with the White Cloak kids? I'm not going to say children because they called children, but the actual kids waving the little things, creating an absurd like we're talking an Aes Sedai level, channeling level of smoke here. What? Poor decision on whoever makes those decisions. I don't even know. Writing part, cat, scene directing part, I don't know. Scripting part, whatever it is. Poor decision.
Absolutely.
Um, I did like the visual of the white cloaks like charging out of the smoke though. So
Yeah,
it was a nice visual.
that wasn't a terrible visual, but it's unnecessary.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
white cloaks again, like you're going back and breaking fundamental rules for who and what people are. Like white cloaks are not going to hide that they are there to fight for the light. Like,
No.
they do not try to set an
They
ambush. They don't try to sneak attack. Like, they will come at you fucking sunburst and blazing upon the biggest fucking flag that they can find and banners everywhere, and they are coming straight at you because
they're white cloaks
they are fighting for what
fighting for the
th
light.
they believe is right with every bit of their being.
Fiber of their being, yeah.
So they don't care about a smoke screen. They don't care if you have witches. They don't care if you have Damani or Aes Sedai or what you have or monsters or whatever it is. They're coming at you full force because that's what they think is right. They're not going to try
Yep.
and hide in a wall of smoke or fog or whatever. Like that's
Yep. Whatever. So then we've got Nynaeve and Elaine, with Nynaeve dressed up as a Suldam,
mhm.
um, and the Suldam dressed up as a Damane. It's fine, whatever. Um, and then we get Renna and Egwene. And Egwene's being defiant, and Renna chops her hair off
She does. She cuts the braid off.
after threatening to remove her tongue. And that's
Yeah,
I
she's
got a
told.
little I got a little sad when she got Egwene's hair.
Yeah, she told Egwene, uh, the first time you defy me, I'll cut out your tongue. The second time, I'll take your hands.
Yep, and she cut her braid off,
It's
which
that's not near as upsetting to me as the fact that Egwene is still called Egwene. That's more upsetting to me.
Thule. It's Thule, right?
It's Thule. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, yeah. As defiant as Egwene is being, Renna should have changed her name by now to something else. Um,
And
but
as we find out later in the episode, she'll never get the chance.
yep. Anyway, so she shoves the pacifier in her mouth, cuts her hair off. I had a little moment. I was really upset that Egwene lost her braid. Um,
Not all of it, though.
yeah, not all of it. Moving on, we get Pot on Fane. I wish we had more of Pot on Fane. I really like Johann Myers. I want to see more of him. I want them to develop the Pot on Fane character. I want to see Pot on Fane as Pot on Fane's going to be later in the books. And I want to see that developing a little bit. I don't want to spoil it. I know that we're doing spoilers, but there's no reason to say what actually happens to him.
You know,
I want to see
love
more
the
of that
actor.
developing.
I love the actor that plays Fane,
I do too.
but he's still, every time I look at him, I don't see Padden Fane. Because,
Really?
like, in the books, he's described as almost like a brittle old man. You know what I mean? So like every time I think of Patton Fane, I love this actor. I think he does a great job with
I do too.
with the
I
part.
want to
I'm
see
not
the
discrediting
writing.
that at all. It's just every time in my head, like my vision of Patton Fane is, kind of a slumped over old man. So
Yeah,
it's
that
always
doesn't bother
hard.
me. I wanted to see in this scene with him and Ashemael, I really wanted to see a bit more Mordeth coming through. Um in my opinion, he left that dagger on the table way too easily.
Yes.
That's not something that Pot on Fane would ever willingly give up,
And this again,
regardless of who's telling him to do it.
is something that changes the rules that doesn't make sense. Like
Right.
when you go back to season one, Moraine healed Matt's connection to this dagger and the corruption that it was spreading throughout Matt.
Mhm.
So it makes no
So why does he
sense.
still want it? Why are they saying that he went back to the tower to get it
Right.
unless he wasn't fully severed from his link with it?
Which I don't think Moraine would have allowed to happen.
I don't either.
So like the connection with Matt and the dagger at this point makes no
Doesn't make
sense.
a whole lot of
There's
sense.
a lot of holes in this story when it comes
Right.
to that. Like
Yeah.
he's healed from it. He's healed from his connection to it, to where like
Right. It shouldn't be
in
he
in
shouldn't be drawn to it like they're assuming that he is
once
anymore.
he took the dagger initially, removing it from him, just taking the dagger from him, eventually would have killed him over time. And not a very long stretch of time. Like his connection to the
Right.
dagger was so strong that like he
But the
would have.
way Maureen like sucked the stuff out of him.
And in the books, it's done a little differently. Like he's actually taken to the tower, and there's several yellows and all this stuff. But they do the same thing essentially. They channel and basically cleanse him of the corruption of the dagger and his
Right.
need to be connected to the dagger. And then
Now,
after
after they do that in the books, does he ever want the dagger again?
no,
I didn't think so. But I'm trying to
like he doesn't even see the dagger again until book 14.
That's true.
He never
That
even
is true.
sees the dagger again until the late stages of book 14.
That is true. You're right.
And even
Um,
then, like, and even made reference in the book at that point. He's like, "Oh, there's that dagger." Like it meant nothing to him
yep.
other than who
So
was carrying it at that time.
it is interesting. The fact that they think he's not gonna last with the dagger. I'm just not really sure. I can understand they needed I get it. They wanted Matt to have this goofy magical dagger that apparently works like a flame blade and can just
It's a
melt anything it touches.
they gave him a lightsaber.
Basically, yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure in one of the Star Wars movies I saw them do the same thing with the lightsaber. You stick it into a lock and cut the lock out. Like that's what they
Yeah.
had him do.
Um, but they could have come up with more creative
So
ways to.
help me God. If they want to use this goddamn dagger attached to a fucking stick in place of his Ashendari, I will lose my goddamn mind.
So I want to talk about that, but not until a little bit later.
That
We'll get there.
I'm not gonna
We'll get there.
go in depth into the Ashendari and stuff like that, but I swear if they're using this, because that's kind of how it looks, is that they're trying to that this is gonna be his Ashendari, and that's not it. Like you don't get a bullshit magical blade that's not even magical. It's corrupted and tainted by
And
Shadar
horrific.
Logoth.
I'm
Like
not
it's
even entirely sure it's wise to be stabbing people with it.
like I mean everything that it touches like it burns. It's not no, it's not
Yeah.
a magical dagger. It is a corrupted dagger. Like it'll yes, if you stabbed a person with it, it would definitely like corrupt and taint them or whatever, but it's not gonna burn through a fucking door and all this other absolute nonsense. That's
Anyway, moving
fucking
on. We'll talk more about
ridiculous.
we'll talk more about this later.
Yeah,
So
we will. Jesus.
Nynaeve wearing the Suldam getup. Um, she explains a little bit how it works, how she can feel
Hmm.
whoever the Suldam is that they've collared. But she gets a little violent.
Hmm.
Like that's a does she do that in the books?
No, I don't believe
Because I know
so.
somebody wears the oh, they do with later on with the menagerie.
Yeah, but that's a little different.
It is a little bit different, but the point is anytime they put it on, they feel filthy and dirty. And even the person that they've collared being as horrible as she is, they hate wearing the bracelet. They hate
It's
it. And the fact that Nynaeve is so willing to hurt this Suldam, who's done nothing to her, is it makes me worry for Nynaeve a little bit.
yeah. Um, it's hard for me to sit here and say that all the Suldam are evil. Like
Well, because they're not.
it's if that's the way you're raised and that's the way everybody's been raised for generations, then if this is what you were raised is the right thing, then
If you don't know any different,
right.
you can't be expected to behave any differently.
So I
Um,
have a hard time saying that the Sul'dam are evil. Like
well, because
we
they're
from
not.
an objective point of view, yes, we can say that the Adam, the device itself, is an evil device, like made to give one person control over another human being.
Right.
Like
And making
yes,
other people slaves is a horrible thing and all that, but
right, right,
but
right.
that's the point of the Shan is that they legitimately don't know any better until they come to Randland and certain people there. meet with other certain people and learn that, oh, maybe this isn't the best way to go about things.
Right.
But when you don't have anybody to question your culture and it just is the way that it is, they don't see themselves as evil.
No.
It's just a cultural difference, which and I do appreciate that they actually kept that in the show despite it being a very sensitive subject.
There's no way to not have that in there.
I
There's
know.
there's
I
no
know.
way. Like
I know.
that's a
But
huge part of book 2.
well, and Egwene's arc. You
Yeah.
can't Egwene isn't Egwene without being collared. Period.
Yeah, and I mean and the Adam that they use throughout a good portion of the books going forward.
True. That too. Um yeah, they have to be introduced. Um can we talk about how Lanfear and Rand poofed to Falm and then Lanfear apparently just left him? So he's standing there watching the Suldam and the Damane, including Egwene and Rena, walk to the tower, right? Where is Lanfear? Why did she just leave him?
She had to go speak to Doman.
And Ishamael? But why would you just leave him? Like, what a dumb thing to do.
She had to go talk to Doman. Tell him to get his
It's
boat ready.
dumb. It's dumb. Okay?
You think I'm gonna argue with you
I
on this?
wouldn't have left him alone if it was me. Would you have left him alone?
Probably just because I didn't want to be around him.
If you were Lanfear, though.
Can we talk about the conversation that Lanfear has with Bail Dolman?
When we get there.
Are we not? Well, I mean, that's where she left Rand was to go talk to
I know, but we're not
Dolman.
there yet. So, so Fane leaves the dagger with Matt, thinks that Matt's not going to last. Moving on, we already talked about that a little bit. We'll talk more about it later. Um, then I think the next scene is the reestablishing of the bond scene, which
Yeah, let's talk about that.
this goes back to them breaking the rules of the world and then not
Mm-hmm.
abiding by by the new rules that they've established.
So, what point did severing their bond serve for the purpose of this story?
Well, my question is how was the bond severed in the first
Oh, I'm
place?
gonna get there. I'm gonna get there. Because trust me, I have that same question. What purpose, if we're going to have these two bonded again, what was the point of severing the
In
bond to
severing
begin
it
with?
in the first place.
It served no point.
There
Other than
wasn't. Well, just like
other
taking
than
her channeling
making
away served no point.
other than making Moraine look like an absolute evil bitch throughout the majority of this season,
And making her angry.
severing the bond served no purpose as far as the story goes. None.
I hated it.
So now we're going to go to the fact that we actually see her channeling the weaves to bond him again as her warder. Well, if that's what it takes to bond as a warder, like if it takes the channeling, which we know it does, then that's also what it takes to unbond somebody as a warder, which she
Right.
couldn't fucking do because she was shielded for the entire goddamn
Right.
season.
So
So how did the
here's
bond
what I
ever
don't
get
get.
removed to begin with?
So she in season 1, she masked the bond because she didn't want Lan to follow her into the blight.
Right.
Fine, whatever. Dumbest thing on the planet, but fine, whatever.
Yeah, especially
Well, the
extremely dumb because Lan and everybody was supposed to go to the fucking eye of the world too. But
I know.
whatever.
That was a COVID thing. They had to keep the cast somewhat separated. It's fine. Um, but anyway, so Bond is masked, not gone, not disappeared. This is just an ability that I said I have, which Lan talks about with Mascom in this season, that they just mask it, they hide it, right? So while the Bond is masked, she gets shielded. She can't unmask the Bond. That's fine. If presumably it requires some ability to channel. Fine. I'm totally okay with that. As soon as she can channel again, she should be able to just boof, bond back. What part of being shielded from Sidar gets rid of her bond? Completely.
I don't have an answer because it's bullshit.
It doesn't make any
It doesn't make
sense.
any sense. So going by that logic, we're saying that any Aes Sedai who's ever been shielded lost the bond to their
Loses her
warder.
bond,
Like
which
a
is dumb.
a bond isn't a
It's
continue.
permanent.
It's not a continuously channeled weave. It's not like you have to constantly be
Right.
grasping
It
Sadar
settles
to
and
keep
it
it
is
going.
permanent until somebody dies.
Yes, and then the other person goes fucking hysterical and mad and end up
Right.
dying probably
Worse for the warder
horrifically.
than the Aes Sedai, but the Aes Sedai still feels it and is
Drives them
we're
fucking nutty.
talking like break up with your boyfriend and eat ice cream for 4 days times a million. Right.
No, no, we're
So,
talking like break up with your boyfriend, then put on a suicide vest and run to the bank type fucking crazy. Like
oh, they don't go that crazy.
did you read book 14? Yeah, they do.
Oh my god.
Yeah, they do.
Oh my god. I still don't believe necessarily that that's completely related, but think about like
It's it
I mean, we
even
have
says in
other
the book that
people.
that's
We
what
have
caused it.
other people in the books who lose their bond. I'm thinking of one in particular. And she's really, really sad for a really long time, but she doesn't ever want to kill herself because of it. You don't know who I'm talking about, do you?
Trying to think of who you're talking about.
She gets stilled during the split.
Yeah, and
That's all I'm
that's
gonna
that's the
say.
same people that I'm talking about in book 14 that lose their fucking shit.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Egwene.
No, I'm talking about Gareth
Oh.
Bryan.
I wasn't gonna say names.
Well, we haven't met Gareth Bryan in the books yet, so I'll
Yeah.
say it because
So,
right now it
but
means
again,
nothing to anybody.
why was the bond completely gone?
Because it never
It
was.
doesn't make
It doesn't make
sense.
sense. There's no logical explanation for how it could have ever been removed.
If you're
Nothing
gonna
that you
break
say
the
makes sense.
rules of the world, at least do it in a way that makes sense and stick with it.
Like she,
God.
you know, we went into this pretty heavily last week as well when we were talking about them finding the shield that had been placed on her and how that breaks the rules because just because you're shielded doesn't mean that you can't feel Sadar
Right. She
there
should
or
have been able to
sense it
bust
there.
through that shield. She should have been able to feel it and break it. It
Even if
might have
she
taken her a while,
even if she couldn't break it because it was a chosen or a forsaken that God damn it, I keep calling him
that
chosen
tied it off,
because it
right?
was a forsaken that channeled it on her. Like we know the strength that they have. Like if they wanted to keep somebody shielded, they could. As a matter of fact, they did it to another chosen in the books
Yes.
for a very
A
very
long
long
time.
long time.
Right.
So I understand that, but that forsaken that it happened to, like they still knew that they could channel. Like they could still sense it there, so it
Again,
doesn't make
breaking
any
the
sense.
rules. It doesn't make sense. So we get I love so I kind of love how so Perrin and the Aiel women enter Falm. And I kind of love the fact that Perrin addresses them and they respond in maiden hand talk and he just has no idea what's going
Like
on.
and
I kind of love that.
see, I brought it up before. I do love how they brought the maiden hand talk into it and
I do too.
are incorporating that. That's the one, I think, the singular saving grace of this entire season.
Yep. Yep.
That is
I
the one saving grace is the maiden hand talk. It's not even anything that we can fucking hear. That's the one saving grace that they've done this season that they have
I
not
know.
completely and utterly fucking destroyed beyond recognition.
Yeah, I appreciate the maiden hand talk. I like their little reunion with Inktar and Loyal. I'm a little bit concerned that Inktar and Loyal don't have anything to say about and Missima, the Aiel women. Like, what are you doing walking around with three Aiel women? But whatever. They talk about the horn. Oh,
They're
we
also
don't know how to open the dang thing.
they're also with the
Whatever.
Shanchen, so I mean, you know,
Yeah.
they probably
So
have
the
less
Damane
questions
go
than
up to
why
the
the fuck are the
tower.
Aiel here? Like,
And they start fireball blasting foam, and Egwene is defiant, of course. Um,
She does cast one spell.
she does at the what specifically because she sees the white cloaks
Yep.
and wants to murder them, which I kind of love.
Hmm.
I did I did find myself, and we'll talk about this a little bit later with the stuff that she does on the tower later, but I find myself wishing that we had gotten just a little bit, like even if it was just another 3 to 5 minutes of Egwene and Rena practicing. I know it's implied that they've practiced, but I would have liked to see a little bit more of Egwene learning about herself and her abilities and some of the new things that she can do, which we see later in this episode. Um,
You mean Thule?
yes. um, I would have liked another 5-ish minutes, just another scene with her and Rena going into more of what Egwene's abilities actually are, which it it's too bad, but whatever. I hate that Egwene always looks like channeling like is painful wearing the Adom because that's just weird. It's not painful. Unless Ren is forcing her to like pushing it out of her
I,
and
I
she's
don't
fighting it.
I don't think it's quite that. I think it's more of she's being forced to channel and she doesn't really have a say. Like she does have a say in it, but there's consequences if she says no. So it's almost like she's being forced to do it. I think that's
Maybe,
what's kind of being implied. That's my assumption of it anyway.
maybe. Okay, so we need to talk about the scene with Rand and High Lord Turok.
I hated it.
I I was really excited because they had him pull out the blade and like do the let's see what it takes to earn this on this side of the ocean, and then Rand is just poof,
So
we're all dead now.
I've said this countless times before, and as long as they continue to produce this shit show, I'm going to probably say it countless times going forward. They have removed so much good content from the books to serve
I
their
know.
own retarded fucking purposes that we lose valuable, important shit along the way. So if you
Right.
go back to
The,
as
Go ahead.
soon as they leave the two rivers and Land sees Rand with a heron marked blade, he immediately starts working with
Starts
him on the
teaching him how
sword.
to use it.
Like, Land is not a blade master. He doesn't have a heron marked blade, but he's extraordinarily good with the sword. And he knows a lot of the sword forms. And we see that all throughout book one, all the way up to them being in Faldara, to them
He
going to the
probably
Eye of
could
the
be a blade
World.
master if he cared to do the test.
And
But
I won't argue that at all. And even the beginning of book two, they go back to working with sword forms on top of the Faldara Keep. That's where I think we uh, encounter our first bubble of evil. Actually,
no.
is on top with
Well,
the
it's that
wind.
weird wind
Yeah,
thing. It's not really a
it kind of
bubble of
is. It
evil.
kind of
It's just
is.
like a I don't
But
know.
regardless, like in before they depart and everything, like he tells him, only you can decide when it's time to sheath the sword and blah blah blah. And all this stuff. And
Right.
he does. He goes, when you meet the Amerlins, use this sword form. Without the sword, you know what I mean? Just as
Right.
a
Yep. Which they did in the show to use Cat
right.
Cross's
But
courtyard.
then even when they talk about it in the show, like there's no like people who've not read the book, they don't know what the fuck he's talking
There's
about.
no
Like use
expectation
cat
that
crosses a courtyard. What are you
that
talking
Rand
about?
even knows what that is because we didn't even get 3 minutes of them together learning sword forms. And the thing that gets me is that even completely aside, which I understand you can't include it because you haven't actually taught Rand anything. The show hasn't taught him how to use the sword.
No.
So he can't use the sword against Turok. And again, spoilers for non-book readers. That scene with him beating Turok with a sword is so pivotal for Rand.
Pretty
That
luckily,
is
like
that is a
it
huge
wasn't
part of his
really
character arc.
it wasn't really skill on Rand's part though. Like Rand was getting
I
fucked
know.
up in that fight, like and
I
just
know.
lucked out of it.
I know. But it's still really important for where he's going as a character
It does, and it lets him
to
know that,
beat Turok like that.
and it lets him know that just because he carries a Heron Mark blade, like, and now, granted, after fighting Turok, I guess Rand would technically
Be a
be
blade, yeah,
a
he is a
blade
blade
master,
master. Because
right?
there's two ways to earn it. One, you kill a blade master. Now there's supposed to be witnesses, but or two, you take a test in front of I think it's three
Yes,
other blade masters. Yeah.
yes, yeah. You have to defeat a blade master with the sword, like in just single combat, or you have to essentially test
You
out.
have to be judged by three other blade masters that all say that you're
If they all
worthy
have to
of.
deem you worthy of the Heron,
Yes.
right? So
Um
technically, in the books, he does this, but by the skin of his freaking teeth.
yeah, I know. But it's still really important
It
for
is.
him
It
as a
is for
character.
his character development. It's a very important thing, and
And
it
it's
is
not
something
even
that
just
defines him.
right, it's not even just that he figures out that he has enough skill potentially to beat blade masters, but it's really one of those also like I just killed a person.
Like, and I remember that part of the books because Turok, like, he was excited that he saw
He
another Heron Mark blade. Like, he was excited to
I
find
know.
another blade master to duel because this is a battle of equals essentially.
Right. Or
Like that.
supposedly.
Well, right, but I mean, if you don't know the individual and you just see somebody pull out a Heron Mark blade and you
Right.
yourself are a blade master with a Heron Mark blade, like, oh, this is a battle of equals. Like this is
It's
phenomenal. Like
exciting,
it's
right.
not something they get to do every day. Like they could
Exactly.
probably go years without seeing another blade master while actively seeking them. So I mean, they're blade masters aren't
Right.
common.
They're rare.
They're not common at all. So I mean, and then it goes from the excitement that Turok has to the utter disappointment when he actually starts just beating the dog shit out of Randy. Like, what? This is a, this is what they call a blade master over here. Like you see
Yeah.
both different levels
Right.
of
Because Rand isn't actually a blade master at that point.
oh, like I mean, he goes from extremely
Um
excited to just completely saddened.
yeah. Well, and but again, Rand so easily just kills everybody on that front porch, basically, is what it is. And that's so against Rand at this stage.
At this stage, yes.
Not throughout the whole books, but his willingness to kill that many people without
Just
batting an eyelash
so now, just think what
is
he's gonna be like when we get to the part of the books where he does willingly kill people. If we're still
no, I
on,
do know.
if we
I
are on
think they're
innocent
giving us
Rand doing this shit, like you better fucking batten down the hatches. Like we got some shit about to hit the fan.
yeah, I think they're starting to give us brooding Rand a little bit quicker, which is fine.
But it's
But
it's not fine though because
well,
we're
they only have so many seasons.
we're coming up on book 3 though, and there's something very important that happens
That's true.
either end of book 3 or very very beginning of book 4. I honestly can't remember which, but it shows that this is not brooding Rand yet.
No, brooding Rand doesn't happen until after the
Well,
thing.
right, but I'm saying that this, yeah, and I think you know what I'm talking about
I
in
do.
this,
Mhm.
yeah, in the stone. Like,
Yeah.
so why would the individual who just ruthlessly murdered all these Shanshin be the same individual that does that?
Right.
Like, you
Or
can't
that
tell me.
willingly goes into Ruidion.
Like, it's
I don't know.
does that make sense?
It doesn't. But I was really upset that we did not get the fight scene with Turok.
I was too, because
I wanted that scene so badly.
I was excited about it when he shows up and Turok pulls out that blade. I'm like,
I
ah, here
got so
we go.
excited. I
But then
got so excited.
I
I
got
watched it with my son and he looked at me. He was like, "Oh, this must be good." And then he just obliterates them and I'm like, "Oh, I hate it." And he looks at me. He's like, "What?" And I'm
I
like,
was excited for about 1 second, and then the realization hit me like we've not gotten any Rand sword training. So
I know.
I'm gonna be disappointed regardless of how this goes, because either Rand is going to beat Torok with a sword when we've not seen any sword training, so all of a sudden he just in his sleep apparently became a fucking full-fledged blade master, or
Right.
what's gonna happen
Or
happened,
something else is gonna happen.
which is what we
Yeah.
got. So either way, I was gonna be disappointed in that.
Yep. So we get a fight scene with the Aiel and the Shanchan, which is fine. I like all of the Aiel fight scenes. I think they do a great job with the choreography. The fight scenes are great. The choreography for them, I have no complaints throughout the entire series. Oh, this is the one where Inktar dies
Yeah,
without I'm not going to say what it is because we don't need to, but without the revelation that happens in the books.
I'll say it.
We don't need to spoil it for people who want to watch. There's no need to spoil it.
Well, why? In the books, we find out he was a dark friend.
Yeah. But in the books, you have a lot more. They build a lot more of your of the reader's investment in Inktar than they did in the show. So
They is like Ingtar. He's a great guy throughout the entire book, and it
he
is a
is, yeah,
revelation
right.
when you find out that he was serving the shadow the whole time, and then he, in the last moment of his life, turns back to the light to hold off
Yep.
the people so that the light can prevail. Like it was a great
Right, but
moment in the
again, like I said,
books.
in the books, you have a lot more. There's you have a lot more investment in who Inktar is as a
Yeah, but
character.
and we don't
So
get that in the Amazon series because they'd much rather make up and develop bullshit storylines that never happened and didn't exist. So we get that instead.
yeah, so we get some Moraine and Lan walking. We'll get back to them later. Moraine figures out that they're outside of Falm. Lan makes a comment about soldiers on the cliffs, which we'll get to later. Um, Bail, you wanted to talk about the scene with Lanfear and Bail Doman. We're gonna run out of time. We're gonna run over. Wait, this is gonna be more than an hour. I
I
don't even know if we're not even halfway through the episode yet.
I don't care how much Lanfear loves Lews Therin. The Dark One would never allow her to keep 6 of the Forsaken imprisoned.
True. This is very true. But
Like
that's not to say that
he
she
would
couldn't try
he would
and then get in
strip
trouble for it later.
he would strip her power from her completely.
Oh yeah,
Like we've seen him do worse to Forsaken for much less than that.
true.
Like she would be stripped of her power and dead forever. Like
I
never to
cannot wait till we get Shadar Haran.
never to be fucking reborn. Like he would decimate Lanfear
Yeah.
for even thinking that. But to actually try and perpetrate it,
No, you're right.
why?
Why is I want to know why is she trusting somebody like Bail Doman to dump a fortune into the ocean?
Yeah, and she tosses him a small bag of fucking
I know.
coins.
We're talking like enough money to buy a town that she's asking him to dump. And she's like, "Here, have this purse."
Yeah, like with as much Quindalar that is in the 6 obnoxiously large fucking seals that they have, like you could probably buy the White Tower.
Mhm.
And she gives him a coin
Until later in
purse,
the books anyways.
a coin purse that is. I just beat the shit out of her if she'd offered that to me. Like if I was Bill Doman, and be
I
like,
know.
here's this to get
I
rid
know.
of a whole
And this
shit ton of
we're talking
Quindalar
about the man here who wouldn't give his mother passage on his ship
for
if
free.
she couldn't pay.
Yep. But yeah,
It's comical.
the conversation between her and him, like that was the only thing I thought is like, really,
I know. I
really.
thought the same thing. I was like, "You're trusting Bail
No,
Doman
I don't
to
even give a fuck about that. But the Dark One is going to allow you
allow her to do that?" Right.
to survive while actively trying to keep 6 of your fellow Forsaken imprisoned. Really?
Nope.
That's all I got
So
on that. That's Amazon. That was fucking stupid.
yeah,
Stupid.
so we get a scene with Ishi and High Lady Suroth. Um, I still don't like High Lady Suroth all that much. I don't like her scripting. Um, she just comes across as way too boring.
Yeah.
She has no. She could be such a good villain in and of herself, and she's just so blah.
Yeah.
I don't like her. I don't really have anything else to say about that scene,
I don't have anything to say about it.
other than apparently they're gonna have the Suldam gentle rand,
Yeah.
but I'm not
Which
surprised.
also doesn't make, well, yeah, that does make sense.
Okay, so the next thing we get is Matt making himself a spear with the dagger and a piece of wood that he pulls off of somewhere in the room. Can I just? It didn't even. So aside from the Ashendari implications here, can I just? Is there any realistic way that a piece of fabric tied around the spear and the hilt of that dagger would keep the dagger attached for the rest of this episode?
Uh, Not in a fucking million years.
I know. Like, no. Just no.
There's
That's
so
got
much wrong with this episode. So
magical
much wrong with
magical
it.
fabric tying powers.
With a magical dagger.
Yeah, with a magical lightsaber spear that apparently is a flame blade or a lightsaber instead of just a tainted dagger. So many problems.
So fucking many.
I didn't Padon Fane's fear, like the fear in his eyes when Matt was pointing the dagger at him. Again, it shouldn't have been. It bothers me a little bit that we're not getting more of the Padon Fane Mortis merge here, but
And it's like you said, Patton Fane would never give up that dagger. Never.
never, not in a million years. I don't care if Ishi's the one telling him to do it. He would not give it up
Absolutely not.
because even at this point in book 2, Padon Fane is becoming more Mordeth, and I forget what his name is after that later on. He's
Ordythe.
becoming more
It's
of
Ordythe, isn't it? Later on.
well no, that's the name of the the guy in Shadar Logoth, and I don't remember.
The,
He takes a different name later. I don't remember what it is. But he's becoming more controlled by the taint from Shadar Logoth than he is by the shadow at this point, even in book 2. So oh, the tower gets blown up. That Egwene and the Damane are on.
mm-hmm.
Yay! By the trebuchets that the White Cloaks brought.
Yes. I'm still listening. I'm looking up his alias.
His name. Okay.
Yeah.
I know he uses one. I don't remember what it is.
I know it is as well. Like I said, I thought it was Ordythe. But
Oh, it
it
might
is,
be.
it is Ordythe.
It is. It is. You're right.
How dare you question me on
I'm
such things?
sorry. So, uh, a, a, Nynaeve and Elaine's Suldam gets shot with an arrow. The arrow goes through Elaine's leg, or another arrow goes through her leg. And please tell me why Nynaeve isn't angry enough to channel.
Again,
Please
flaw,
tell me.
flaws in the logic. There's no legitimate reason for why she wouldn't have been angry enough at that point. They're in the middle of a fucking battle. Your friend, your companion that you've been with for
Just
however
got
long,
shot.
however long now, has an arrow sticking out of her leg. You take pride in wanting to help people and heal people. This is what you live for. This is what you do.
Not only that, but at this point,
The
she
fa-
knows
the
because she has
fact
worn the bracelet how horrific these bracelets and collars are, and she knows that Egwene is in one.
Not
That
just
alone is enough to make her angry enough to channel.
the fact that she couldn't channel immediately would make her the fact that she couldn't channel immediately to help Elaine and to heal Elaine would make her pissed off enough that she could channel.
Yep.
Like, she wouldn't even need to think about Egwene. The fact that she has Elaine right there with an arrow sticking out of her leg and she's unable to channel to heal her would have pissed her off enough that she could channel to heal her.
I'm also not sure if we think about thinking back to the times that Nynaeve has channeled in the show. It's not always been because she's angry though. Like the first time that we saw her channel in the show is because everybody in the room was dying. She was scared, not afraid or not angry. The second time she channeled in the Arches, she was scared, not angry.
Yep.
Have they changed it? Have they made it so that her block is something different?
How many
Which doesn't make any sense because in the books, when it poofs, she's actually scared, and that's what makes her channel. She's terrified.
how many braid pools have you counted throughout this season?
Nowhere near enough.
Like
Not
0.
even
I
close.
think my count is a 0.
Yeah, that makes me a little sad. We need more braid tugging. Amazon, who's not watching this, we need more braid tugging.
Amazon, if you are watching this, get your shit together. Before call me. We'll talk. I will try to unfuck this as best as possible. Call me. They're not gonna call. They're not gonna call. They want to keep this fucked
So
up.
we're back on the tower with Egwene, and she sees the collar fall off of. Is it Mygon that she sees it fall off of?
Yeah, it's a sitter.
It
Yeah.
is. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. Okay. So she gets the collar. Beats me where she finds the correct bracelet from. It just magically appears on her wrist.
So fucking many things are wrong with this. So goddamn many things are wrong with this. We go back a few episodes, and Egwene couldn't even pick up a pitcher of fucking water because she thought to
Right.
use it.
Why can she pick up the Adon
Because
now?
she thought to use it as a weapon against her fucking soul dam. She couldn't even pick up a pitcher of fucking water. And now she can slap a collar on her around her fucking neck and then weave at her and fucking channel her up and hang her.
I know.
Whereas
How did it? Well, because
obviously
in the books she collars Rena.
in the
So
book she
how?
collars her with her collar. The collar is
Oh,
taken off of her by Elaine and Nynaeve.
that's right. You're
And
right. I
Rena comes in
remember.
the room and she slaps the collar around her neck and puts on the bracelet and fucking proves that the soul dam can channel. And
Right.
she has that revelation that this is the only thing. It's the only thing that made sense.
Right. So how is she? Yeah, it doesn't. Again, they've broken the rules of the
A
world.
major fucking rule. Like what you did here doesn't even make sense. You have two Damani that are also sold. Like what?
I know. I know.
And
Moving on.
and we see Rena try and hit Egwene, and she can't because she's wearing the fucking bracelet and the collar. Like, but then we see Nynaeve immediately afterwards fucking hang her by her collar. Like, that's, it, that scene was a catastrophic fail. Catastrophic.
Because they broke the rules.
It for
They
no
laid
reason.
out
It
rules
made
in
no
the scene
sense. It was
in
utter
2 episodes ago,
bullshit.
and then they broke them. It's awful.
It was
Follow the damn rules.
utter bullshit.
So we get the scene where Perrin and Matt meet up, which is great. I love their little reunion thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love that Matt lightsabers the horns box open. Um, I don't love the horn. I just don't particularly care for the design of it, but it's fine.
It's whatever. I thought the same thing. Like, it doesn't look like a horn, but whatever. You want to make it special and look different and unique.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fine.
fine. I don't care.
But I'm pretty sure in the books it's not different or unique. Like, it looks like any other horn because they don't want
Right.
it
Well,
to
I
stand
pictured
out.
it like one of those
It's like
ones where
curvy.
it's a circle and it like loops around on
Mm-hmm.
itself, and one end is the where you blow and the other end is the thing. It's sort of like a really basic old school French horn kind of a
Yeah.
thing.
And if
Yeah,
you look at some of the chapter art in the book, that's
it's what it
exactly
is.
what it
Yeah.
looks like. Yeah.
Yep.
And like I said, in the books, I'm pretty sure it's described as it could be confused with any other horn. Like they don't want it to stand out. They don't want the horn of Valir to look special. They want it to just look like a horn. They don't to preserve its
Right.
magical quality.
Right.
So if I have an issue with this, that's the only issue is that it does look unique and
Special.
unlike anything else you'd ever see. So it kind of detracts from that, but it is what it
But it
is.
doesn't bother me considering how long ago theoretically it was made. We don't know what it horns back then might have
Right.
looked like.
Right.
So, 3 to 5,000 years ago, give or take. Yeah, we get the conclusion of the scene with Egwene and Rena. I don't like Egwene. Rena just drops the bracelet and the collar just comes off of Egwene magically. That doesn't make sense.
Nope.
The fact that Egwene
No,
does
because how many?
Egwene kill Rena in the books?
No, she leaves her
I didn't
collared.
think so.
She leaves her collared.
Right. The fact that Egwene kills Rena here is it's a little bit dark for Egwene
It's a lot
at
dark.
this point
It's a
because
lot dark.
Egwene, despite the horrible things that were done to her, she does recognize that Rena is not inherently
Evil.
evil.
Right.
In the books at least. And she Egwene isn't going to kill someone who is not truly evil.
So,
And Rena's not.
and I know we've been talking about this and the rules being broken and all this bullshit, but like every rule that Amazon has made for the Wheel of Time, they've broken themselves.
Just about.
Like we see that what it takes for a collar to get put on and what it takes for a collar to be taken off. We've seen Rena several times put on the bracelet
And take it off.
while she was in the kennels with Egwene, and then take it off and hang it on the wall. So her taking off the bracelet while she's
Right. No,
hanging from the
I'm
fucking wall would not
I'm
automatically
assuming
disable.
that there was some sort of an intention there, like in her mind, Rena released
That's not
both
how.
of them.
That is not how it works.
But I'm aware of that. In the books, there's an actual clasp that has to be undone. Um, but again, it's one of those things. It's just weird.
It's stupid.
Why
It's not
they
weird. It is beyond weird. It is fucking ridiculous, dumb, stupid, makes no sense. Didn't need to happen that way. Like, you name it, they fucked it up on that. There was nothing okay about that. Nothing was okay about that.
Yeah. Rand shows up on the tower. Yay, happy days.
Hmm.
Um, more fighting with the Aiel. Again, fight scenes all around are fantastic.
Hmm.
I think. Do you agree?
Yeah, I was okay with the fight scenes. I don't have anything with the
Um,
fight with the fight scenes in the streets. There wasn't anything that I really have anything negative to say. I'll leave it at that. The fight scenes on the
I don't
street
either.
were
The
okay.
fight scenes are great. Whoever their choreographer is doing a superb job.
We get to see that you don't want to fuck with the IEL.
Ever?
The IEL are not to be fucked with. Just
No.
keep that in your back pocket.
So the Three Stooges, Loyal, Matt, and Perrin have their epiphany moment where they realize that the lightsaber can open the box that the horn is in. Skipped ahead a little bit earlier. Um, Ishi shows up on the top of the tower. Hand waves Egwene, hand waves Rand. Sends a flare into the sky. The Shan-Chan. Again, we're breaking rules. The Shan-Chan on the boats in the water who can't see the top of the tower somehow magically put a shield on this person that they can't see.
And
You have to be able to see what you are doing when you channel.
yeah, because we even
That's a
see like
fundamental rule in the books.
it even follows the weaves from the Damani all the way up and then over the side of the
Over the
tower.
side, they can't see what they're doing. It shouldn't be possible.
It's not possible. It's not that it shouldn't be. It's not possible.
Again, it's just another example of Amazon breaking the rules that were set out in the books. You
Yeah.
can't weave at something that you can't see.
So
Also,
like
why does Rand go into like a pathetic head down, kneeling, woe is me position every time he's shielded? Like
because
it doesn't the shield doesn't physically bind you in any way.
because Rand is a pansy at this stage in the books.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
It's not until about book 4, book 5 where Rand kind of unpansies himself.
I would say it's not even until book 6.
He has
Beginning of book 6.
he has his moments in like 4 and 5 where he's less pansy than normal.
Not really.
He has a few.
A few. Maybe in book 3. Anyway, as Shamael tries to get him to turn to the dark, Mat runs away with the horn, and I got excited. As soon as Mat picked up the horn, I was like, "Yes. We're yes." I was excited. It took him a minute to get him to blow it, but he did, which made me happy. Just the fact that Mat actually blew the horn, that
Yeah,
they didn't change that made me
yeah.
happy.
I was actually happy about that too. That's the one thing from the books that they've held true to is Matt blew the horn.
Can we talk about so Dane Bornhold sees Perrin in Falm and he says two rivers question mark like because he's met Perrin
Hmm.
and does he just recognize him because of the conversation they had before and that he was from the two rivers
I
and he's
believe
just
so.
confused? Okay, and then
I
Morning
believe so.
he's
I
who
think
can't
that was just him
feel.
making the connection of, hey, I know you or I remember you.
Yeah. um And we get in the room. Valda sees Perrin. Valda tries to kill Perrin. Hopper comes in and attacks Valda. And then Hopper
Gets got.
gets got. And
Hopper
that
gets
I
got.
I knew it was coming, and I still was so sad because
Yep.
Hopper. And I knew it was coming, but he just gets Hayad, and it's by Jeffrem.
Hmm.
And then Perrin wolfs out, which I do kind of appreciate that we got a little wolf out Perrin. Um, and goes and kills Jeffrem, which does happen in the books,
Yes.
not in Falm, but it does happen in the books.
Correct.
Um, and he finally
I believe it
picks up an
happens like
axe.
book 1 when he first gets captured by the White Cloaks.
Yep, but Perrin finally picks up an axe.
Yep.
Finally, I got so happy when he picks up the axe. I was like,
And
yes,
buries that bitch deep into Bornhold's chest.
yes. Yep. I'm a little bit upset that it's not his axe, like one
Yeah.
that he made, but at least we finally get Perrin with his axe. Also, why do all the White Cloaks use axes? Is that weird? Is
That's very weird. Should
that
be like
weird?
spears and swords almost
It should be.
exclusively.
That's what I thought. But whatever.
Like
So
almost
Mat
exclusively.
Mat comes face to face with a huge number of Seanchan, blows the horn. We get a little bit of time slowdown, which whatever, I'm fine with.
It's
They needed
whatever.
to materialize the heroes, whatever. Can we talk about the heroes for a minute here?
Two things upset me about this. Like massively upset me about this. Number one, we see Uno with the heroes. I'm not against Uno being considered a hero, but
Oh,
Uno
I'm not either.
is not a
But he hasn't
legendary
earned it.
he is not a legendary hero of the Horn. Like when we talk about the heroes of the Horn, we are talking about Arthur Hawkwing, Bridget Silverbow, Geidel Kane.
Geidel Kane.
Yes, like
Who's the Asian chick? So like they gave Arthur Hawkwing like a position of importance right behind Mat.
I'm
Who's the Asian chick opposite him?
not sure.
I'm
There was
not
a
either.
there was another pain drag there, I believe. I just looked it up the other day and I can't remember. Here we go. See, the heroes of the Horn are
In the books or in the show?
from the books. The
Okay.
known heroes are Amarisu,
Oh,
Arthur
maybe I bet
Hawkling,
it's Amarisu.
Bridget Silverbow, Blias of Matachin, Bald of Albine, Kalian the Chooser, Guidel Kane, Jane Chairin, Michael of Pureheart.
Which is Jane Farstrider, by the
Hmm.
way.
Oh, well, then that's not even one that we'd have right now.
No, because Jane Farstrider is currently alive.
Correct. So in book 14, he
And
comes
is
out.
also a female in the show.
Michael of Pureheart, Odorin, Pedrig the Peacemaker, Roguish Eagle Eye, Siobhan the Hunter, and Hind the Striker.
Wait, that list did that list include Arthur Hawkwing?
Yes, he was like the first
Oh,
one I said. He was
okay.
right after Amarisu.
Gotcha. So I bet the Asian chick is Amarisu then. Cool.
Probably.
I didn't bother to look it up, but that's awesome.
But yes,
So
Jane Farstrider's one that would be not the first time
is
the horn was
currently alive.
blown.
Well, is currently unknown. Put it that
It's
way.
currently alive, but nobody knows where they are.
Nobody knows where they are.
They think they're on
Jane
another
Farstrider is
adventure.
presumed dead.
Presumed
In
alive. Yes, in the books they're presumed alive, but nobody knows where they are. They just believe that they're on
that's
another
fair.
adventure. Because
So
Jane
I
Farstrider's
did.
who writes like all the fucking books in the Wheel of Time
I
universe. Like
know.
all the adventure books are wrote by Jane Farstrider.
So Uno,
So Uno,
I'm a little bit upset that Uno the hero he hasn't earned it.
I love Uno, but
Oh,
no,
I do too.
he is
Uno's one of
not he
my
is
favorite
not a
sub
legendary
characters.
hero. It is
No,
not a legendary hero.
not even close. I do like that they included Arthur Hawkwing. Um, now I did look it up on IMDb. Arthur Hawkwing is credited with the actor's name. Birgitte is not.
That's
There is
upsetting.
no credit in IMDb for Brigitta.
So
So I don't even know who that actress is.
so it upsets me that Uno came out of the horn. That upset me just because he's not legendary. He is not a legendary hero. As
Not
much
even
as I
close.
love him, he's not. The second thing that
It's worse than
upset
Legend.
me. Now I'm okay with that. Like that's why I love Uno.
I
Like he
know,
just
but
doesn't
to
give a
be a
shit.
hero, well, I don't know. Knowing the
Matt,
things that Brigitta does, it's yeah.
Matt's a hero of the horn.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Not in the books. He's not.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is. He is.
No, he's not.
He 100% is.
Uh-uh.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
no,
They make reference to it multiple times throughout the books. That yes, he is.
no, he's not.
Yes, he is.
Oh, maybe he is.
Argue with me some more.
Shut up.
Argue with me some more.
Oh, that's from the. Hold on. So there's so much information now that has to do with the show versus the book.
In the books, especially in book 14,
He's not a hero of the
he
horn.
is.
No,
When
he's not.
when Arthur Hawkwing talks to him at the very end, he even tells him that one day again he will ride with him out of the horn. When he says again, that means he's done it before, which means he's a hero of the horn.
I'm gonna look at Theoryland.
But regardless, I don't even remember where I was going off before I proved you wrong. Um, what the fuck was I saying? Oh, so in the books, like this is a very important scene for a multitude of reasons. Not only do we get the horn, like I mean, the book is called The Great Hunt, and it's the Great Hunt for the horn. So we get the horn sounded, like we have Matt sounding the horn. We have the heroes of legend coming out of the horn, and their leader is Arthur Hawkwing, who is also the patriarch of the Shanshan
I always
Empire.
thought that was hilarious.
Like
Like even when I read it in the books, I thought it was the funniest thing in the
it is like
world
it's a
that the horn gets blown and the leader of the heroes is the patriarch, the long dead patriarch of the Shanchan, and he gets called to kick their butts.
And he happily does. Like he has
Yes.
no problem
Yes.
doing it. And like it's
The
kind of
irony, it just
it's
cracks me
a
up.
kick in the teeth to the Shanshan because they're called, the ever victorious army. Like there's never been not
They've
anything that
never lost,
that they've never
ever.
conquered. Anything they set out to conquer, they've conquered, and they just get drove back into the fucking sea by their own, like all the emperors and empresses of the Shanshan, like they all have a direct lineage back to Arthur Hawkwing. So I mean, him coming out and beating the snot out of his own people, like I mean, it's a kick in their teeth. Like, oh God, like this is our great great forefather. Like this is why we do what we do and why we are who we are is because of this man, and he just drove us back into the fucking sea.
Okay, so it looks like maybe Matt is a hero.
No, no, he's not. Maybe he is. Like I said, the gambler.
The trickster.
We get Matt speaking a little bit of the old tongue, but we don't have a lot of
Okay.
communication
Hold
between
on.
him.
This one says, I think he specifically asked the heroes at the last battle, spoilers, by the way, as well, and they confirm he isn't, even though he has, as they say, done more than enough. He discussed it with them. It almost felt like they told him he considered him, but decided not to bind him to the horn. Matt and Brigitta have a discussion about the horn, and she does not remember him.
Anyway, so we need to get moving along. We're
Yeah.
already going over.
Anyway, so
Um,
verdict is undecided on whether Matt's a hero of the horn or not.
so we don't have a lot of communication between Matt and Arthur, which I was kind of disappointed in. I was looking forward to that
That
dialogue,
exchange,
that
yeah, that would have
dialogue
been
between the
nice.
two of them, like gambler, blah blah blah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what he calls him as soon as he shows up the first time, and it's a big thing. But we don't get any of that. We just get him running headlong into battle, tearing people
So
apart like
how
they
do you
do.
feel about Matt screaming
That's what I
his
said that if you were too busy reading, you weren't listening. I said we got a little bit of Matt speaking the old tongue.
well, yeah, but he said
He did.
his thing
It's
for the
time to
first time.
it's time to toss the dice.
It's time to toss the dice.
He says it in the old tongue. It's doesn't sound like it's time to toss the dice.
Yep.
But
Wolf Out Perrin, I enjoy much.
if his eyes go back to normal again,
I will be upset.
so help me God.
Nynaeve pushes the arrow through Elaine's leg, and Elaine can magically walk now.
There's so many worse things. I don't even question that. There's so many worse things
Oh,
they've done.
okay. So we need to talk about the scene on the tower with Ishamael and Rand. Um, and Matt throws the spear, and it
Yep.
goes through Ishi, which is I don't have a problem with. Ishi would use an illusion. I'm totally fine with that. My problem is not that the spear hits Rand because they've set this up for something that happens later on in the books. He gets his first of the double wound thing there. My problem is that in Min's vision, it happened differently
It did.
because Min's visions are supposed to be exact,
So
precise.
the when you're talking about the Carathian cycle and the twice and twice he shall be marked, is that what you're talking about?
No. No, I'm talking about Matt throwing the dagger
Yeah,
or
yeah. No, I
the
get that, but you're
spear
talking about one of the wounds that he's supposed to get.
in his side. Because
Yeah,
one of them is from the dagger from Shadar Logoth, and the other one is from a Thakandar blade. And they fight each other, and that's how he figures out how to do the thing
okay.
with Nynaeve. Later on, I'm not going to say what it
Yeah, no,
is.
I got you now.
Yeah. So he gets his first side wound that won't ever heal, right?
Yeah, the issue I have with this, and I have a big issue with it, is in the books when this battle take place. Now, in the books, Rand does fight Ashamael.
We're going to talk about that later.
No, no, I want to talk about it now. Uh,
I want to talk about it when we get to the CGI thing.
we can talk about that later when we get to that. I'm not worried about that. So,
So,
the battle between Rand and
'cause I know what you're
Ashamael,
going to say.
like that's what we're talking about right now. Like it happens in the sky above Toman Head, above
Right.
Falm,
So they
and
quite literally,
everybody in the streets watches this fight between
right,
now
between Ishamael and Rand, like
Asham
supersized in the sky.
and Ashamael does not look like Ashamael. He takes the form of Baal Zamon, like he did in season 1 of Amazon's series. Like the first several times we see him, he has the flaming eyes of Baal Zamon, and that's who Rand is fighting. And Rand, yeah, he's got a god.
Balsamon?
Yeah,
Anyway,
he has like a god complex. But they
yeah, you're
fight
saying it weird. Anyway, yeah, they
Baal Zamon.
fight literally in the sky.
Yes, and everybody on the street like they stop what they're doing and they watch this fight between Rand and who everybody presumes is the Dark One himself, because that's who he's taken the form
What
of
it looks
essentially,
like.
right?
Yeah.
And he takes a staff or whatever to the freaking side and sheaths the sword and wins the fight, blah 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 blah, and that's how he has reclaimed the Dragon Reborn. Is everybody sees him defeat the Dark One in the
Presumably the
fucking
dark
sky,
one.
right? Who everybody believes is the Dark One above the sky. Even Rand thought he killed the Dark One.
Again.
Yeah. Eventually he's gonna stop falling for that. But yes,
Eventually.
he even thought he killed the Dark One. Everybody on the street
Right.
thought he killed the Dark One. Uno
And he's
is
been
there. It's like,
bannered across the sky in fire.
right,
Literally.
right. But instead we have it on a tower where nobody can see it.
Right. And Egwene does her magic shield thing. This is what I was talking about, how I wish we had gotten more time with her and
Mhm.
Rena to explain
I knew
how
it.
she can do the shield.
I knew you were talking about.
Because she can. That's like it's because we know who Egwene is, we know that this is something that she can do, but we haven't the show Egwene hasn't earned this shield.
No.
Um I wanted her to earn the shield a little bit. That's all. So everybody else shows up on the tower. Oh, can we? Mm, we need
Can
to
we
talk about Moraine blowing up the Shantian ships.
Yeah, can we talk about how Moraine knows that they shielded Rand from miles away?
What looks like at least a mile away.
And she knows exactly what they channeled and exactly who they channeled it on, and
Can you explain to me, please, how Moraine can blow up a ship with people on it,
she didn't.
hurting them
She didn't.
with the one power? They
She
are
didn't.
not dark friends. They are not shadow spawn, and they are not presenting a direct threat to her life or Land's life. How is she hurting them?
She didn't. She didn't blow up a ship with the one power. She blew up several ships with the one power.
But still, that's
Well,
a literally breaking the three oaths.
I,
She knows that there are innocents on those ships. She cannot hurt them.
so I will counter that. I might actually have to side, and this pains me to say, I might have to side with Amazon on this one.
Is it because she dealt damage to the ship and not the
Who
people?
who was leading them?
Well, is she? But she
And
doesn't know that.
Suroth.
But she doesn't know that they're dark friends. How could she possibly know?
No, but if she's if they are led by a dark friend and she's killing them,
But she
then
has
she's
to
not break.
know that they are.
I guess if you're trying to uh ensure the death of the Dragon Reborn, that is enough proof that you're a dark friend.
And not only that, technically the oaths don't cover dark friends. They can't kill human dark friends unless they're threatening their lives. It's only shadow spawn.
Well, we have in later books Moraine bail firing somebody who's not a threat directly to her.
We do?
Yeah,
Who?
in book 3. But
Yeah, but
law,
that's a Forsaken.
they're human, are they not?
But it's a Forsaken.
But it's not a threat to her or her ward or another Aes Sedai.
Their existence is a threat.
So then the existence of the
The
Damani,
Shanchan is a threat to her life?
yes, actually.
I think that is an awfully thin line to be walking on.
I'm not arguing that, but I can actually argue for it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying
I
that
no,
it's not a
I
thin line,
understand. I just think
but
that's an
yes,
awfully thin line.
but yes, the existence of the Shanchan is a direct
A
threat to the
threat,
life of
right?
her and every other Aes Sedai on in the world.
That is
So
true. I think that's an awfully thin line.
I will not disagree, but I can kind of side with them, and they are acting under the orders of a dark friend.
Right, but she doesn't know that.
She doesn't, but I mean they are. So I mean, if she knows that they've shielded the Dragon Reborn, and this is what it takes to keep the Dragon Reborn alive, technically he's an Aes Sedai.
Yeah. I hate the comment that she makes to Lan about how she's willing to kill innocents for
Yes,
Rand. And I'm like, but you literally can't.
I was gonna say that I will hard pass on because you
She can't.
exactly
It's
like
not possible.
right.
Again, it just goes more
That
towards their
that
I
is a direct
understand that there
violation
that
of
it
the
can
three
be
oaths.
logicked where she can damage the ships or assume that they're a threat,
But
but
I mean,
that's
the way the
that's
fireballs
still borderline breaking the rules of the oaths
the way the fireballs come up, she obviously
intended to
dir-
hurt them.
directly murdered
Yes.
Damani with
Yes.
fireballs the way they blew up out of the
It
bottom of
is
the
it is
ships.
a very thin line. They're walking with those oaths. Or
I
they're
will
just breaking the rules again and they don't care.
I will agree with either one of those assessments.
The fact that they don't care about the rules
But it but it
angers me so
but in
much.
this specific instance, I can say that I can kind of see
Fine,
the logic
fine.
there.
We'll
In
move
this
on.
one
Why the
instance,
heck can't Nynaeve cure Rand? It's Rand.
it
She
is.
needs to she needs to channel. Anyway, um
Like
Elaine
they should have
shouldn't be
shielded
able
her.
to do that
They
at
shielded
all.
they should have shielded her. Uh, who shouldn't have been able to do what?
Elaine should not have been able to heal Rand at all. Like not even a little bit.
Why?
Because she can't heal that well. She's terrible at it.
She is, but any Aes Sedai,
Whatever. She does a shit job on it, which is fine. I kind
which
of love how Rand
I
like
mean,
looks up at her and he's like, "Oh,
that
who
it
are you?"
kind of follows the story in a way because it's not fully healable. Like that wound will never be
That
fully
is
healed,
true.
regardless of who does it. So I don't
And it
really
is
have an
interesting.
issue
She
with it.
doesn't she heal him when he falls over the wall or bandages his head or something,
She bandages his head. She doesn't channel at him though. No.
right? Fireballs through Shanchan ships. Okay. Rand Rand fire sorting Ishamael and Ishamael just turning to dust and dying. I get that Ishi dies here, right? It happens in the books. But how can he kill Ishamael so easily after Lanfear
Had her
literally has the
fucking.
exact same thing happen to her
She got stabbed
and
to the heart and had
survives?
her throat slit and stood up afterwards. Yeah.
So I
Yes.
did talk to somebody who had a weird sort of theory about that Lanfear had done a weave on herself and inverted it that would trigger upon her death to like, but that still doesn't even make sense because
You can't heal death,
you can't cure yourself.
and you can't heal death.
I'm just so
Yes, there's the inconsistencies are
awful. They're horrible. Like If the
The
Forsaken can't
incons
die, then they can't die. That doesn't mean one of them survives and one of them dies. It means they either can't die or they can die. See, and I originally thought maybe they brought back Lanfear because they didn't want to recast her because of stuff that happens later in the books. And they just kind of made that the new way that the Dark One keeps them from dying so they don't have to recast
Yep,
people.
I remember we had that conversation.
But then they kill Ishi,
Yep,
which completely obliterates that theory.
yep. Again, it's just inconsistencies, and
It's so bad.
they're just breaking their own made up rules that they make. Like they make
Yep,
the
I like
rules
the
and then
heron
they break
on
them.
Rand's palm. I appreciate the heron.
I have an issue with the heron.
Really?
I don't have an issue with him having a heron on his palm. I have an issue with the location of it.
Right, because it should be
It
like
should be like
right
dead
here
center of his palm, not
instead
on
of right
his
here.
thumb, not on his thumb.
I that doesn't it doesn't bother
Like
me.
that bothers me. Like it's almost like stigmata.
Yep.
Like that's what the
So
herons are supposed to be. It's supposed to be kind of based off of the stigmata. Like
I know.
Jesus
I
Christ
know.
wasn't impaled through the thumb; he was impaled through the palm.
So can we talk about again? Maureen is can channel from way too far away. A way too far away. But then, but then, after blowing up the ships, they've changed the prophecy. They've changed it from he proclaims himself bannered across the sky in fire to the dragon is proclaimed, meaning anybody can do it, bannered across the sky in fire. So Moraine makes this dragon.
Expecto Patronum.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh.
Tell me I'm wrong. Like,
You're not wrong. That's why it's so funny. So, and everybody's staring at this dragon, and Rand's all like, "Yep, it's me. I'm the Dragon Reborn," and everybody in Falm is cheering, and he's like, "I'm super confused now because everybody's cheering for me." And Avienda goes, "Karn."
yeah,
The heroes fade off into wherever, which is fine. I did hear there was a scene, Missima. I do love Missima staring up. Like the camera takes a minute on Missima with his eyes staring up at Rand, which plays into stuff that happens later. So I think we're gonna
yes,
get that stuff with Missima later, which makes me happy.
that's good. But it's supposed to be Massima and Uno, so I'm still upset. Still upset.
Lanfear's in the crowd. So then we get a cold close. What I'm gonna call a cold close.
Yeah,
And we get an epilogue for the season. I like Mogadine a lot. She doesn't look like the way I pictured her to look, but the way that she weaves and puts Lanfear in the web, oh, I liked it.
I don't. I don't mind having Mulgadian. That that doesn't bother me. She's a huge part of the books for uh, a number of
But
things
this
moving
better be the
forward.
last time we see her until much later because she just hides in the shadows.
So this wasn't anything special to me. Um, I'm 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 okay with Mulgadian. I hate that Ashamayo broke the seals. That does not follow the books. That doesn't make sense through the
Right.
books.
We talked about that though. It's fine.
This it's
The fear in
stupid.
Lanfear's eyes when she saw all the seals broken though was that was good. She's afraid of them. And rightly so. She is stronger than all of them, yes.
Not
That
all of
doesn't
them.
mean they aren't forces.
Not all of them. She
She's the
is.
strongest female.
It wasn't just the females that got released.
Oh, right.
We're missing
Yeah,
five
you're right.
Forsaken. We don't know which five. I can
6.
hazard a very strong guess. No,
Oh, well,
there's
there's
8.
5 more. So we get Semirog. We
W
have to have Semirog. She's way too important to the story,
there's all
and
of
she's
them
been
are
mentioned.
all of them are important to the story. I'm going to guess that we don't get Balthamel or Agenor because they
Well,
both would have been in
obviously.
season 1. I don't think we get Asmodean.
No, because they've put way too much effort into making
Loghain,
Logain
right, kind of filled
that
that role.
fill that role. Yeah,
So I
we're
don't
not
see
getting
us.
Grendel because
Yeah,
Lanfear is way too Grendel in the World of Dreams.
that again, that's Mokedian. Mokedian is the world of dreams.
Whatever. No, I'm talking
So
about her outfit. I'm talking about her
okay,
outfit.
I thought you were talking about like her
No,
prowess
I'm
in the
talking about her
world of
outfit.
dreams. I'm like, no, that's 100% Mokedian.
No, I'm talking about her outfit.
Um, so I mean, there's 3 that I'm gonna count on not seeing. So that leaves 10. So I'm not sure which other 2.
I don't know.
4.
2 of the boys. Anyway,
4. I
I
only
liked the
counted 3.
scene
Agenor, Balthamel, and Asmodean. That's only 3.
in Grendel. We're not getting Grendel.
I want to be too sure about that. I'm going to guess that we get Samael, Demandred.
Ravine.
See, we haven't even been to
Camelin yet, though.
Camelin yet,
But
so
Margaze is so important later
yeah,
on.
and we skipped right over her.
I don't
So
think we're gonna get I don't think we're gonna get Masana.
so I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get Ravine because we don't get Camelin.
I guess we'll find out. Anyway, we need to call it. We ran way over. Um
Final thoughts on the season.
I
Season
am
2 is in the books.
yeah. I like that. I like the fight scenes. Um I think that the scripting and the directing was overall a huge improvement from season 1. Um, I don't like that they're breaking the rules, obviously, and then changing the rules that they've broken. Um, I do appreciate that they've gotten all of our characters back to where they're supposed to be. So hopefully, for the most part, so hopefully we will get something a little bit more accurate starting in season 3 with the books because
Yeah,
everybody is back where they're supposed to be for
yeah.
the
Hold
most part.
hold your breath on that one.
I'm hoping hesitantly, but they've put them in a place where season 3 can start off in a good place. So we'll see.
My final thoughts are they did everything wrong. The only things they got right were very, very small things. The maiden hand talk, like I
Yeah.
said, probably the one saving grace of the entire season for me, honestly.
There's it's so weird because they do these tiny little things that are sometimes they're just tiny little things that are so perfect. And I'm like, if all of it was like these little itty bitty tiny things that you get right,
Yeah,
it'd be so good.
how can we pay attention to the finer details when it comes to such small things, and then not pay attention to any of the details when it comes to massive things that are super important to not only this season but the books and the story
In general.
as a whole. I mean, there are things that you've done already at this point that affect what can't possibly happen in book 12, 13, 14 now. Like I don't. So they fucked up. They fucked up bad,
We'll
bad.
see.
But I guess we'll see what happens with episode or with season 3.
I guess. We may not stream next week. We'll see.
Okay.